Good morning, everyone. My name is Carissa Chilco, and I will be going through our winter weather briefing today. We do have some recent changes. In the last 30 minutes, we have included Isle of Wight County, Newport News, and Hampton to our winter weather advisory, and we have received reports of snow all across the region for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and drag in our current radar for everyone to see. Once that loads in. Okay, so this is our current radar. These lighter to darker greens have been the heavier bands of snow. We've got temperatures overlaid on top of the radar as well, showing right around freezing, slightly above to the south of that line of precip right now. And so it's going to continue to bring some flurries and some light snow for the south for the most part, where that snow has for the most part moved out of the area. And we are still expecting it to get some heavier snowfall up towards the north of our area. And we're going to see a transition from more snow to wintry precip and then to rain. So just another look at our hazards across the area. We do have winter storm warnings for the majority of our area, including the north and most of the eastern shore, while we have winter weather advisories bordering on to those winter storm warnings to the southeast. I will briefly let you look over the key messages, but I'm going to be going over everything. And not too much has changed from the forecast from overnight. With our onset timing, it has arrived for most of the area. The eastern shore the snow will be arriving here within any minute now. I think the radar shows that for the most part, the Virginia side of the eastern shore has already started to receive snow, and the Maryland side will be starting to see that snow between now and 2 p.m. Our expected snowfall, like I mentioned, hasn't shifted too much from what we were showing yesterday, our overnight forecast. The models have really honed in and have really locked on to what we're seeing now. So we are expecting 6 to 8 inches in our northern tier counties, including the eastern shore, and up to 3 to 4 inches in the metro Richmond, and then diminishing amounts the further south you get, with less than an inch in Norfolk and Virginia Beach down to Emporia, and almost none, little to none down in our northeast North Carolina counties. So we are expecting this to be heavy and wet snow because of that temperature change that we're going to be seeing. So the weight of the snow could cause downed power lines and trees, especially areas that are going to receive these higher snowfall totals. And we will also have some ice accumulation for some areas as well. For our high-end snowfall potential, it's very similar to kind of what we're forecasting, just on the higher end of those inches, basically. So this is a reasonable worst-case scenario. That's going to be the 8 inches in our northern tier counties, with still less than an inch for the southeast counties. With our snowfall accumulation, we have high confidence that the majority of the area is going to receive at least an inch of snow. So if you are in the red or orange on this map, we are expecting at least 1 inch of snow on the left or 2 inches on the right. As for 4 to 6 inches, if you are in the red for 4 inches, we are expecting you to at least receive 4 inches and are more than likely going to see more. If you're seeing yourself in that orange, we are forecasting 4 inches for you. So that goes with the 6 inches as well. So we're only forecasting those 6. We only have high confidence for those 6 inches for that very far northern tier of our counties. Our hourly snowfall rates are going to increase into this afternoon and into the evening. So this was this morning. It's still valid. This first graphic is about an inch per hour. We could see a few pockets of a little bit higher, but overall between maybe half an inch to an inch for the majority of the area. And then this evening, we're going to see higher snowfall rates up to 1.5 inches an hour for the northern tier counties, including the eastern shore. And then tonight, most of that snow will have transitioned into rain, but we will continue to see those medium to up to 1.5 inches an hour for the eastern shore. Snow character is going to be heavy and wet, like I mentioned, just because our temperatures are so close to freezing, as I showed with that radar in the very first image. We can see that it is already starting to transition to rain in the south, so we're not going to be able to get that really dry, fluffy snow with those warmer temperatures. With our expected ice, we have up to 1/2 inch of ice expected towards Farmville, so that is going to be our highest amount of ice that we are expecting, but we could still see between 1/10 to 1/4 inch, even up to the Metro Richmond area, with just a light glazing for other parts. And with this much amount of ice and the snow, especially in the more northern tier counties, we could see that weight bringing down trees and power lines as well. So before we move any further, I am going to pull up our simulated reflectivity for everyone to see when we are expecting that transition from snow to freezing rain to rain. So this is valid right now. This is one of our models, which isn't showing a lapse in precip down towards the southeast, as well as the current radars. You can see it kind of is showing a little bit of pockets. So keep that in mind that this is just simulated. It's not perfect with what is actually happening right now. But it does give a good picture of where that transition line is going to be this afternoon. So we see that it's going to stay mostly snow up towards like the Richmond area and the eastern shore this afternoon, and we can see that freezing rain starting south of Richmond. This is at 2 p.m. And then as we go forward, we can see that freezing rain, which is that pink, slowly started to shift north. And the red is freezing rain, the pink is sleet. Sorry, I got that mixed up. So but we can still see that going into tonight, that line is going to lift up towards Richmond. And where we can see those pink and reds, that is where we're expecting that highest amount of ice accumulation. So as we continue to go on into the overnight hours, most of the snow has lifted just to the northern tier of our counties, but we still have some freezing rain and rain potential into the overnight. So now this is early Wednesday morning. Still a little bit of freezing rain and mostly rain for the area. And by the time we get into Wednesday afternoon, it has shifted over to rain for the majority. Okay, so going back to our PowerPoint, here's another graphic kind of depicting what I was just mentioning about with that transition into rain. The northern tier counties are going to hold on to that colder air longer, causing it to shift further into the early hours of Wednesday, versus the further south you are, you're going to see that transition to rain more rapidly. And with all this precip, we're not going to really be able to knock it, as we see that going into both Wednesday and Thursday, we still have high chances of precip throughout almost the majority of Thursday. It should hopefully start to move out of the area by Thursday evening. As for our Wednesday temperatures, our lows are going to be right around freezing Wednesday, and then we are going to warm up above freezing to about the low 30s to upper 40s, depending on the south warming up a little bit faster than the north, but this will allow a good chunk of all of this ice and snow that we're getting to melt, which will be good. So that will help eliminate any potential travel problems from continuing into Wednesday and Thursday. For our regional forecast summary, we can see that we kind of have a very big fluctuation of temperatures this upcoming week. Thursday, we will be able to warm up to 50s to 60s, but then we'll cool back down Friday with the next front. And this weekend will be more seasonable, with Sunday warming up to maybe even 70s down towards the south. So we kind of are in a roller coaster for temperatures. And we will continue to stay pretty wet through the end of the week. We are under a marginal excessive rainfall outlook with all this rain that we are expecting to get for the majority of the area. And this is the expected precip that we are expecting right now. This does include snow and snow melt as well. So that's going to be around 2 to 3 inches for the majority of the area. Down towards the North Carolina side, only an inch to an inch and a half, but we will welcome any rain we can get. Switching gears over to the marine side, we do have small crafts up, as we are expected some elevated wind gusts to continue throughout most of the week. So we can see that we've got these elevated winds all the way through Saturday night. Our max wind gust is still below gale force warnings, and our waves will continue to be about 5 to 7 feet. And the winds have already begun starting to increase, and then will continue to increase into this afternoon to about 20 to 25 knots. And seas will continue to increase to about 7 feet. Our next briefing will be sent out by 5 p.m. And thank you for listening.